Mara's fight with Johanna had started over the smallest of things, the borrowing of a blouse. Johanna knew how much Mara hated anyone wearing her clothes, and yet the blouse had been borrowed. Typical. The artist in Johanna responded to any urge, answered any call. With that opening gambit, a banquet of long-held grievances progressed from food source to food source. In the end, they reached the end. 6 years together, gone. Johanna's final flourish was the slam of the front door, cracking the air like a slap across Mara's face. The room wasn't big enough to hold Mara's anger. She wheeled around, strode to the back of the house and out the door into the garden. But this was Johanna's domain. The scent of gardenias and camellias wrapped around Mara's throat and squeezed. Mara parried with an attack to the tiger lilies, ripping them out, root and branch. They dangled from her fists like animals' entrails, dripping claws of dirt. The sky opened up, and torrents of rain tore at Mara's hair and clothes as she rounded on the peonies and the petunias and the hibiscus. Nothing was safe, nothing was sacred. When she was spent, her hair was matted to her head, her clothes molded to her body, her hands, arms, and face caked with mud. She stood dripping amidst a battlefield of dead bodies strewn from border to border, a graveyard of the unburied. Then and only then did the full impact of what had happened occur. Johanna was gone. Mara leaned against the linden tree and wept. She could hear Johanna's laughter. She could feel the chaos of Johanna's hair between her fingers. Never again would she be swept into Johanna's abandon, to taste her, to smell her. Mara scanned the ruined flower beds, her last connection to Johanna, and knew exactly what she should do. 2 days later, with trowel in hand, she bent to her work, planting a garden stolen from the canvases of Georgia O'Keeffe. Feminine, erotic, seductive, her homage to Johanna. In one corner would be lilies, their petals spread open like white thighs. Jack in the pulpits would lean against the house, coyly covering their stamen with their striped hoods. To the left, bluebell vines, their deep purple petals as fragile as butterfly wings. And at the flower's center, oh, at the center, a sweet bud of passion. By late afternoon, Mara sat at the round table in the center of the garden with streaks of dirt on her cheeks, the muscles in her arms throbbing, sweat dripping down the sides of her face and between her breasts. And all around her was the glory of Johanna. Mara went to the garden every morning. She stayed until night, taking her meals in the shade of the linden tree. She couldn't bear to be away. Well, in the beginning, she would read or make entries in her journal, but she soon put those trivialities aside so as not to distract from the study of a leaf or the exploration of a scent. When she was tired, she would lay herself down and take languorous naps in the sun. The soil, sometimes cool, sometimes warm, would make of itself a feather bed for her comfort as its fragrance wove her dreams into visions of flowers laid out like vast beds, a place to lie with Johanna. Time passed. The southern spring turned to a southern summer, turned to a southern fall, turned to a southern winter. Mara remained outside watching the changing of the guard as one day, one season poured into the next. The garden rejoiced with a cotillion of peonies in pink, with gardenias in full bloom, with calla lilies whispering in corners as they offered their most private gift from within their white cups, and so on, and so on, and so on, on. And then one morning, something changed. The day started as any other. Dawn pressed itself to Mara's lips. Birdsong nibbled at her ear. She tried to raise her hand to brush a lock of hair from her eyes, but something was keeping it bound in place. With a gentle tug, she freed herself and looked down. Fine tendrils of green were attached to the inside of her hand, poking through, growing out of her skin. The wonder of it took her breath away. As days passed, the tendrils grew. Mara would sit for hours, staring at her fingertips and palms, brushing their feathers of green against her cheeks, down her neck, and between her breasts. Every evening, she would lie on the ground next to Johanna. Every morning she would wake with another sprout, another ringlet, another piece of herself reaching out into the world toward Johanna. Everything Mara needed was provided by the garden. She sat with her back against the linden tree while green shoots grew from her arms, her ankles, her legs, destined to become branches bound for the soil. And soon, very soon, she was tethered to the earth, searching for Johanna. Johanna. Before long, Mara's roots had spread to every flower and every bed. Her new friends found their way between her legs and over her stomach, winding around her waist in a wisteria coil's embrace. She was now bound to the tree. They were of a piece, one and the same. Vines traveled over her face, tickling her temples as they found their ways through her hair, and her legs slowly thickened like the wide-barked base of a sapling turned to tree. When she was thirsty, the rain quenched her. When she was hungry, the soil nourished her. She would open her mouth and with rounded lips allow her breath to merge with the current of air that surrounded her. Mara understood every stone and every creature. They gave, they took. She gave, she took. They were in perfect harmony. Mara and Johanna. It was spring again, a full year since Mara's rebirth. Her roots now extended as far as imagination allowed. She could go anywhere, see anything, all while sitting within the safe boundaries of her garden. Her left hand was now buried deep within the earth, the fingers growing longer and stronger as they burrowed downward. Her right hand was joined to the base of the linden tree, mushrooms and moss nesting between her fingers, traveling up her arm. The only sound were the wings of insects fanning the air into a gentle breeze, and the only scent was the fragrance of flowers joining one to another, a siren song of sweet surrender. Until a voice, nearly forgotten, called her name. Mara. She opened her one eye and peered through her leaves. There, framed in the doorway of the house, scanning the garden, searching, was Johanna. She had come home